now I think it's time that we called up the wonderful Clare Cope. For those of you that enjoyed Tony Guittara yesterday morning and talking about what different birds you were, we started to understand a little bit more about psychology and how people think. All right, so we started to dig into that a little bit more. All right, now Claire's going to inject some steroids into that, because when I think of someone who knows people and psychology and studied it intensely and understands it, but then can deliver the message in a way that we get it, Claire's the person I think of. All right, Claire's just like a big sister to me. She's got one of the most beautiful people you'll meet with one of the most beautiful hearts you'll ever meet. You're going to absolutely love her. She has a system called the values pendulum, which I think we're going to talk on today. Claire's created that. It's used all throughout Australia to understand how people work. All right, so if you can actually all stand up and put your hands together for Clare Cope.
Good morning, everyone. How are we? Good? Firing on all cylinders? Did anyone have a little bit too much to drink last night? Well, just don't put your hand up, because your head will start to hit the table very shortly, and I know who you are. Did we have a good night last night? Are we having a good... I know you all had a good day yesterday, because I heard all the feedback. Are you ready for a good day today? Yes. Good. First of all, I want to thank Stephen and the team. I think what they put on for you guys is amazing. Wouldn't you agree? Just to be able to bring some speakers down to you, to give you the input that you need for your business, whether it's for you personally, for your people in your team or your business. It's really invaluable. So a huge round of applause to Stephen and his team. And a thank you from me as well. Like, they take care of us like unbelievably. I get asked if I want coffee about every 5 minutes. Yesterday I was like, I can't do any more coffee, I'm going to be bouncing off the walls. But they just take care of us, and that's amazing. You can learn from that. Really, when you're here, observe what they do and observe how they take care of you and how they take care of the people that come into this space. Because that's effectively an extension of their team, an extension of their business. Wouldn't you agree? So how we feel as the speakers and how you feel as, you know, being part of this community, that's important. And if you like the way that you feel, think about how you can bring that back into your business, because that's critical for you to learn how to do. Sound good? My style's a little bit different. I'm kind of shaking a little bit. I like interaction. So I'm very big on giving you some knowledge. Got lots of knowledge to share, but if we don't do anything with it, it's just information. And it sits in there and you go, oh, that was really cool, that was really cool, that was really cool. But if you don't know how to apply it, what was the point in getting the knowledge or getting the information? What do you guys think? So I've listened to your feedback, and I've heard what you loved about Tony was getting the idea of the personalities and the birds. So now what are you going to do with that information? Given that, as he said, personality doesn't really change. It's kind of the essence of who you are. Let's look at the thinking that goes with that human, goes with that personality, because your thinking does change, and it should change. So we're going to explore how your thinking changes. So just start to think about in your head now that the person that you are now, is it the same person of who you were 10 years ago? No? Same person 20 years ago? No. So what has happened to shape who you are today? How are you making decisions differently? How are you approaching people differently? How would you have approached your business differently 10 years ago? So because you have changed, that's evidence to say that your thinking has changed. Now, a lot of us do it unconsciously. You don't sit there going, ooh, I need to deliberately think about how to be more strategic, so how do I do that? True? You just don't go, ooh, I need to learn how to be more of a relationship person, so let's just switch on that thinking. It takes time, and it's unconscious. So what we're going to do is go through and give you a bit of a pathway to say, let's be more strategic about it. Rather than you kind of throwing paint at a wall and hoping that it sticks, and when it doesn't, go, oh, I've got to throw another bit of paint there, I've got to throw another bit of paint, until you find something that works. There is a pathway for growth. There is a pattern for growth for your business, and there's a pattern for growth for you personally. And a lot of people don't know what it is. Have you ever heard of a pattern? Do you know that your business is going to follow a pattern? You do? Some people do? Who has never heard of that? I'm getting a few nods, yep. When I show you this, and we'll go through it step by step, you'll see, oh, that makes complete sense. Of course my business growth has to follow that pattern. So when you know that pattern, you can then know, well, if I'm here, this is the next logical step. Then once I'm here, this is the next logical step. Does that make sense? Same for your personal growth. You are on a journey as you go through life. Now, your journey, your growth and development is a little bit dynamic. So there's a pathway for that as well. And sometimes you regress down the pathway, sometimes you might take a sidestep, but there's a pathway to that as well. Now, do you want to know where it gets a little bit sexy? Well, actually, where it gets dead sexy. No, you don't? Okay, you do, good. It's when the two combine. Now, this is something that I see a lot of business owners fail to do. They look at their business separately to themselves or the people in their business. But I can guarantee you, you name one challenge, you know, the key challenge that you've got in your business. I'm going to go pretty deep pretty quickly. Is that all right? I was going to save this little line for a little bit later on, but I'm just going to go there now. Are we cool with that? Any challenge you've got in your business, the key thing that's keeping you up at night, I can guarantee you, hand on my heart, 100%, it has everything to do with you as the owner. Everything. Some of you are going, ooh, that's a bit uncomfortable. Well, that's really cool, but it is. So your business is a reflection of you. Your business is an extension of you. So we'll look at that as we go through. You also said that you loved with Greg, getting all the strategies about website and what to do, what not to do, some technology things, correct? Do you have any idea of what you should be doing next? What is the very first thing that you should be doing when you go home? Anyone? Put a plan in place, so know what to do. Do you know how you're going to put that plan together? Probably not. I love the honesty. What else? Who else is thinking that they know what they're going to do next? Call Greg. It's probably a good outcome. That's a good answer, you know, to go to the person that has the knowledge, yeah? But saying that you want to put a plan together, and thank you for your response, putting a plan together and then saying, but how are you going to put that plan together and getting the, oh, I don't know, well then you're stuck, yeah? So quite often when you come to events like this, and I've seen it happen a lot, you get a lot of great information. It was a gold mine of information yesterday. What you need to do next is dependent on where your business is at. So let me give you an example. Is anyone just sort of starting out in business, like right in the very early days? Okay. So if you're starting out in business, you probably don't have a lot of funds to throw at things. You've got to be really strategic around where you spend your money. Would that be true? For people that are past that phase, you're going, yeah, that's true, yeah? So when you're looking at a website, do you need a website with all the fandangle bits on it right at the beginning? Probably not. What do you need to do right at the beginning? Pardon? The key stuff? What's the key stuff? Advertise, sales. So who said sales? Sales. What does sales deliver to you? Money. What does money do? Pays the bills. So if you're not doing the very next thing, the only thing that's going to generate money to come into your business to pay the bills, you're not in business. You're just not going to be in business. So there's no point putting all of that, whatever money you've got, into, say, a website if that's not going to translate into money for you. You're better off going to a networking event or wherever your people are getting together and selling something. Selling you, positioning yourself. You be your website. That doesn't cost you anything. Yeah? Compared to a different business. So someone else tell me where their business is at. Someone that's a little bit more advanced along. Who's got a lot of structure and system in their business? Pretty automated? No one? Yeah? So for you, your next step around technology might be a little bit different. You might say, well, what haven't we done in that space? What have we got that's working? What can we tweak? And what's something new that we could add in to drive more business, to market ourselves a little bit differently? So you can look at it as an innovation opportunity or a growth opportunity because you've taken care of, you know how to generate the revenue, you know how to get it coming in time after time after time. So now let's look at growth and expansion. Yep? That's where you're at? So once you know this pathway, and I'm going to share this pathway with you today, both on business and in personal, making decisions around what you need to do next becomes dead simple. Who wants that? Just a few of you? Does everyone else want to go get coffee? I'll have a latte, white with one. All sound good? A lot of you said you wanted the mindset of Shelley. Who wouldn't want the mindset of Shelley? I still cannot I've heard her story a couple of times now, and I still cannot get my head around how to be in an ocean, just keeping your head above water, number one, and remembering to breathe and maybe do a few strokes to get you somewhere, fighting the current, B, knowing that there's stuff in there that could actually really kill you, not like potentially, but actually bite your head off, dead, gone, no, there's no turning back from that, you can't glue that back together. And 3, do it over and over and over and over and over again for hours on end. That's amazing. It's almost bordering on insane, isn't it? But that's taking your mental strength to the limit. That's actually saying, well, what am I made of? How willing am I going to push myself? How much am I going to show myself what I'm capable of doing? Now, you all have that. That is all within your reach. How you represent that, whether it is, swimming for hours and hours and hours on end doing a marathon, maybe that is for you. Maybe it's spending the next 20 years in business. Maybe your marathon is simply saying there's this one thing. Okay, let me give you a really cool bit of advice. You ready? If anyone's wondering what to do next in their business, do the very thing that scares you the most. So maybe for you, your marathon swim is the very thing in your business that scares you the most. Does everyone have something in their business that kind of makes, I call it the undie tightening effect, where your undies get really tight? It's can't breathe. Everyone has something like that. It could be presenting, it could be going out into a new market, it could be relinquishing the reins of your business and getting someone else in. Does everyone have an undie tightening moment in their business? If you're wondering what to do next, do that. Do you want to know why? Yeah. Face your fear. Do you want to know why that's the very thing that you should do? Everything else is easy. So when you're doing the thing that's hard, you're going to do what? Do the rest of it after that. You most likely make mistakes, a lot of mistakes, and learn. So pick any successful person that you know or admire. What have they done more than anyone else? Make mistakes. Their success is not because they're smarter, not because they're better than you, not because they deserve it more, but just because they fell down more times than you and picked themselves up more times than you. That's the only difference. True? So your ability to develop that mindset follows a growth path as well. In order for you to have that mindset, you need to be able to switch on, essentially, neurology. So let's think of, like synapses firing. You need to be able to develop that in your head. I'm going to get really technical. Try to develop it in your head, where your brain sits. And develop that capability to think at a different level. Now, to keep it really simple, how you do that is just by being an active participant in your life. So that's why I'm very big in this environment where I will not stand here and talk to you for what is effectively 3 hours today and have you look back at me. It's not going to wash with me, right? My theory is I know the content, I wrote the content, so I know it, right? So you guys need to know it. And how you know it is not just by sitting there listening to me, but by applying it, by starting to think. In putting yourself in new and different situations and having to think it through, you're developing different neurology. You're expanding the way that you think. You're growing. So that's why I say the very next thing that you should do in your business is the thing that scares you the most. It's because you're going to grow exponentially in so many ways. How does that sound? Anyone up for that challenge? Yeah? Awesome. There's my little duty. Is there a hell yeah from the back? I love a hell yeah. Also, I like 2 thumbs up. That works for me too. You can also randomly stand and start doing a dance. Works for me too. Now, I have a gift for everybody, because I think on a Saturday, who has family? That's amazing. There are many other things that you could have been doing today, don't you think? So don't sit there now and think, oh, maybe I should be doing that. Just stay where you are. You're in the right spot. But I think it's amazing that you've actually taken this time to invest in yourself and invest in your business. So as a thank you to you for doing that and sharing your time with me today, and in respect for Stephen, what I've done is I've put some things together for you, okay? Some free stuff that you can just go in and download and have a chat to me about, whatever. So I'll take you through what you get right at the end, but for now, just write this down. So that says valuespendulum.com/B for B. So what I've put together for you, I'll take you through at the end, but it touches on the key elements of what I'm going to be sharing with you. So something for your business, something for you personally, and then a way for you to bring it all together. Cool? Today we're going to be looking at how to actually integrate your business and human potential. What the hell does that mean? Is that what you're wondering?
Yes.
Sounds fancy. It's a little bit fancy, but it's really quite simple. Who has a business? Yep. Is everyone in the room? Who's a human being? Did anyone not put their hand up for that, just out of curiosity? Does everyone have, who's a team of one, just so I can get an idea of the size of the businesses? Team of one? Okay, who's got, say, up to about 10 people? Okay, and who's got up to 50? Has anyone got anything bigger than that? One person, cool, okay. So you can see we've got a range of different businesses in the room, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to make everything that we're talking about, everything that we're learning how to apply, we're going to make it relevant for people that are just a team of one through to a team of 50 plus. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Because if it's just you in the business, are you not the most important stakeholder? Yeah? Do you know how many times I ask businesses, tell me who your stakeholders are, and they look at me? I'm like, well, you're one. You have needs in your business. You have growth that you need to go through. You have expectations. You have preferences. You have likes. You have dislikes. So you're a key. You need to be managed. You need to manage you. You're a key stakeholder. So if you're a team of one, everything that we go through from the human side apply to self. Okay? If you're a team of more than one, everything that we go through from the human perspective apply to yourself first. Then look at your team. Okay? If you have people in your business, you have people challenges. And as we go through, particularly in the morning, we're going to talk a lot about some of the challenges that you're actually having in business and how every single one of them is linked back to people in some way. Every single one of them. That's how strongly I feel about business data and human potential being integrated. If every single challenge that you have in business is linked to a person, then why are we not getting better data on our people? Does that sound, now that I've said that, doesn't it sound obvious what you should do? Do you know how you think? Who knows, hand on heart, how they think? Cool. Who has a criteria for how they make a decision? Bit fluffy? Is anyone in the room going, why would I need a criteria for how I make a decision? Is anyone wondering that? Take the emotion out of it. Helps you be more strategic rather than reactive. Stops you from getting caught up in the emotion of something and going, no, that doesn't fit my criteria, so that's a no. Or yes, that does fit my criteria, so it's a yes. Now my approach to business, my approach to coaching, mentoring is very blunt. So are we cool with me being blunt?
Yes.
Okay? I'm going to share with you what I call the secret to the universe. I know it's a little bit of a bold statement, but just hear me out. Has two components. Who has an outcome that you want to achieve? In business, in an area of life, has everyone got an outcome? Yep. Have you associated or identified what that would give you when you achieve that outcome? Have you attached a meaning to it, how you would want to feel? Happiness, pride. Yep, so you've got a meaning to it. If you haven't got a meaning to it, put a meaning to it. Now here's a clincher. This is the hard part. Brace yourselves, strap yourselves in. Do you know who you need to be, and please listen to my words, to be worthy of that outcome? Not to get that outcome. Get has a feeling of expectation, of entitlement. Worthiness is something that you earn. It's something that you value, that you see value in. So do you know who you need to be worthy of that outcome? Anyone?
Assess you. It's the best version.
The best version of you? Something like that? How detailed have you taken that? Is it clear enough for you to identify what it is that you should do and what it is that you shouldn't do? So what are you prepared to do and what are you not prepared to do? If you goal set like that, you'll transform your results, because coaching yourself becomes really simple. You'll save money, you don't need a coach, because you can self-coach. Well, if this is my outcome and this is what I have to do to get it, I'm either doing it or I'm not. And if I'm not doing it, well, then I either need to pull my finger out and do it or change my outcome. What do you guys think? Pretty straightforward?
Yep.
So whenever someone comes to me, I do a lot of coaching and mentoring as well. Whenever someone comes to me and says, "Oh, Claire, this is where I'm at with my business, and here's the challenge that I've got, and I need some help trying to find my way through," I'll ask this question: well, what's your outcome? What is it that you really want to achieve? What would it mean for you to have that outcome? Do you know who you need to be worthy of that outcome? What do you need to do? What are you prepared to do? And what are you not prepared to do to achieve it? And if the two aren't aligned, it becomes really simple. Change your outcome. Oh, I don't want to change my outcome. Fine, then do the things that you need to do. Oh, but I don't want to do those things. Change your outcome. I don't know what story you want me to believe. I don't know what you want me to buy into, but I'm not buying into the whole, it's too hard, I don't know how. You have access to people. You are connected to an amazing community here. If you needed help with something, what do you think you should do? Ask. You've got access to Stephen. Do you think he knows a thing or two about business? Do you think if he may not have the answer, he might know a person who might just have something to say that could help you out? So there's nothing that should stand in your way. The only thing that stands in your way is you. So that's why when we're looking at integrating the business data with human potential, it's about understanding how you are getting in the way of your own business. So if your business has a block, it sits with you. I don't care what the block is. And we'll explore this today, okay? And the good thing is, do you want to know the good thing? It's all fixable. All of it. You just need to know how and what you should do. Cool? When you do this, you start to be more strategic in business rather than reactionary. Who feels as if you're putting out spot fires, like bushfires in your business sometimes? Yep, a few of you. Do you feel like your team's doing that as well? They're kind of flying by the seat of their pants, not really sure what to do, kind of jumping around like a bunny. Ooh, that looks interesting. Ooh, I'll go and do this now. Ooh, now I'll do this. Does anyone have people doing that? So understanding where you sit, where your thinking is, also helps you understand where your team is. And your team is either going to be, this is again, really simple coaching, if this is where your business is and where it's going, your team is either aligned to that or they're not. Cool? They either have the thinking that can deliver that outcome or they don't. And wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to know that if this is where you want to take your business, do you actually have a team of people that can get you there? Because if you don't, you either need to train them, develop them, get some other people in, or change the outcome to something that is reachable. That's based at where their growth is at. Does it sound simple to you guys? I really want to make sure this is simple. Is this sounding really simple for you? Cool. So let's have a chat about data. It's a nice bland topic. Let's see if we can make it sexy. So who has data on their business? What kind of data do you capture? Just start throwing them at me. Financial data? Some stats, some marketing information, sales information, client information, marketing, so to know whether your marketing funnels are working, conversions, retentions. Yeah? Pardon? Client feedback to see if what you're doing actually is good or not. So why do you get data? You get data for three main reasons. To take a health check on your business. Is the business healthy? Is it weak? Is it strong? What is it? How are we going with business, right? Do we need to inject it with some vitamins? Or is it, does it just need a little sleep for a little bit? So you get a health check on your business. Performance predictability. So if you know that X data is, X results are occurring, and it's been recurring like that for a couple of months, you can pretty much expect, given all things go the same, that the same outcome will be generated the next month. Yeah? And if my business is turning over this amount of money and we're making this amount of profit and we're getting this number of clients in, then in 6 months from now, this is where our business could be. True? So there's some performance predictability that you get with business. And the last one is that you can forward plan. So if things aren't going as well as what you want, you can start to put a plan in place for how to turn it around. Make sense? So that's the value in having data on your business. What do you think it is for people? Why would you want data on your people?
To be in touch with them.
To be in touch with them? Know their capabilities, I love it.
To measure employee engagement.
Measure employee engagement, which you do what with?
How to motivate them.
How to motivate them? How do you measure that?
I do.
Yeah, how do you measure it?
I just write notes basically on one person in particular. I noticed how they reacted and I actually wrote notes on a book.
Yeah. So at least it's being captured. Do you see how it's very subjective? Do you get how that's subjective? Yes? No? I need some feedback, yeah? So when you're dealing with people, it's very subjective. What happens is that your way of thinking, your way of being, is projected onto the other person. So whatever you're capturing about that person is flavoured by how you actually see that person to begin with. So it's subjective data on people is always inherently flawed because it's limited by you. It's not to say it's bad, it still is good information, but just know that it's inherently flawed. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you don't like someone, it's okay not to like someone. If you don't get along well with someone or you don't like someone, what are you going to see in them? Sorry, I couldn't hear it. There's like 10 people at once. Go here.
Negative.
Negative, you're going to see the negative. See the worst in them, you're just going to see in them what confirms why you don't like them. True?
Yeah.
The person that you like being around, what do you see in them? The positive. Everything that reminds you of why you like them. Now, here's the interesting thing. Everything that you see in someone is a reflection of you. So if you can see it in someone else, you can access it within you. So the person that you love being around, that reminds you of whatever characteristics that you really enjoy, that's a reflection of you. You can see it in them because that is you in some way. Cool?
Yeah.
Do we all love that?
Yeah.
Well, if we love that, then we have to love the flip. We've got to take the good with the bad, two sides of the coin. So if there's someone that's annoying you, someone that you don't particularly like, stop getting annoyed at them and ask yourself why. What is it that they're doing? What is it that they're reflecting? What is it that they're telling me? What is it that's confronting me that I actually need to address? So the person who sometimes, you get really loud people that always have to speak their mind. Does anyone come across those people? Always got an opinion, always telling you what they're thinking. People are going, yeah, that person, do you know that person? Yeah? If that bugs you in some way, it's telling you that you don't actually speak up as much as what you would like. So it's not the fact that they are that's bugging you, it's the fact that you're not that's bugging you. True?
Because you can't have a say.
Because you can't have a say. Well, you can, you just choose not to.
Or they don't know you.
I'm going to say it again. You just don't want to. No one has control over you other than you. If you don't want to do something, do you do it?
No.
If you really want to do something, do you do it? So if you really want to speak your mind, speak it. No one's going to stop you.
True.
Yeah?
It can cause conflict though.
Isn't conflict great? Who loves conflict? Oh, I love it. Do you know why people don't like conflict? It's because they don't know how to manage it.
That's correct.
That's the only reason, but it's so healthy. You see it, that's why kids, who's got young kids, like between 0 and 7? How good are their tantrums?
Yeah.
And if they don't want to do something, they just won't do it, will they? No matter how creative you get about why they should do it and aeroplanes coming in and blah, 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 they just won't do it. Now, why is it that we as parents want to squash that? No, conform. Be a good child. You're at the table, this is how you're supposed to be. I'm not saying let your children run ragged. Don't hear what I'm not saying. But there's an element of them learning how to speak their mind, how to develop a unique identity. So we have to allow them that freedom, because all too often in our lives when we grow up and be adults, we have to conform. True? So we lose our ability to feel like we can contribute a voice, have an opinion. Have a look and see if here's a critical thing, if you're reluctant to have an opinion, for whatever reason, you've instilled that in your team. So your team will be in some way reluctant to share their opinion with you. So when you're asking for feedback around engagement, they're going to tell you what you want to hear, because they haven't been given the freedom or taught that it's okay for them to have an opinion. So that's why I'm saying whatever challenge you've got in your business is a reflection of you. So if your team isn't speaking up, you're not speaking up. If your team's not following the process, you're not following the process. If the team's not communicating well with each other, you're not communicating well with your team. If your market's not engaged with you, you're not engaged with the market. You're not compelling for them. They don't want to, if you're not getting the conversion that you want, they don't want to be around you. That is the harsh reality. You are not presenting something that is engaging for them. You're not being clear in your voice, so they don't know how to make a decision. Who has customers where they say that they're buying on price? Or they debate with you about price? Yep. That you need to negotiate with them? Part of that will be, not all of it, part of it will be because you're not clear on what your voice is in the market. You haven't made it clear enough what you stand for. So your voice of your product or service is not strong in the market. And that comes down to you personally, as the leader of your business. The moment you get super clear about what it is, and you are defined that that's what it is in the market, and you are very clear on that, and you are very different, and you will stand on your mountain and shout that to anyone that will listen, you'll have people flocking to you. They will either make a clear yes or a clear no. They will love you or they will hate you. And I don't care. Like Tony said, some will, some won't. What was it? Some will. So what? Move on. Next. You want that. You want people to say, yes, I'm in, and no, or just no, I'm not. So when you're looking at gathering people data, you're doing it for the same reason. You're getting a health check on your business. So you're seeing where is my business strong and where are my people strong? Is that a match or not? You're doing it around performance predictability. If my team thinks this way, then what does that mean in terms of how they're going to solve these challenges that come up? I can predict how they're going to solve this challenge. So if you can start to predict how they're going to react, how they're going to solve problems, how much more strategic can you be in the way that you develop people? Instead of waiting for the who to hit the fan. True? And lastly, it enables you to forward plan. If you don't have a team that has the capability that's matched to the outcome that you want, you can put a plan in place to develop, recruit, or change the outcome so that they are aligned. So let me ask you this, what data do you capture on your people? What do you know through data, not through subjective, but through objective data about your people? Timesheets, so how much time they've spent in the business. So that's I'm physically here, but nothing about the quality of my work. I'm just here. What else do you know about people?
Performance.
Performance, what kind of performance? What are you measuring them on?
Conversion rates.
So sales performance. So are they doing their job at the rate that I need them to do it? True? What else are you measuring?
We measure productivity.
Productivity. What goes into the measure?
Lines made.
So the volume of output?
Yeah.
Okay. And so there's KPIs around that. There's a certain target that they need to meet. So again, it's what they do. You're hearing it's all what? Turned up for work. Great. Met my KPIs for sales. Great. Met my KPIs for production. Great. They're all whats. What else do you capture about your people?
Rebookings, requests,
Say that again, sorry.
rebookings for us in our business.
Bookings, again, so that's another marketing sales activity. How many bookings are made? Do you have KPIs around that?
Yep.
So they either meet that or they don't. It's a what. What else do you capture? Their goals. What do you do with them?
We have a 12-month plan that we assess.
How they're moving towards them? Yep. So either they reach it or not, or it's another what.
Can't you really ask them should they get to know their conversations with their staff? Is that what you're trying to find out?
Yes. It's looking at everything that you're measuring is a what. They've either technically done their job or they haven't. Don't you also want to know how they're going to do it? Isn't that where half your frustration? You don't? Why don't you want to know how? You don't care? As long as they're just delivering what they need to do, you don't care. So,
As long as they're not breaking any laws or any...
yeah, that's always a good thing. I'm totally on board with you there. Are they attached to your...
Maybe 20th century, you used to worry about it. Now, you don't care about how they do it. It's just, as long as you get the job done.
Are they attached to your brand?
Beg your pardon?
Are they attached to your brand? Are they representative of your brand?
Yeah, because I'm the only employee. So,
Are you a team of one? You're the only person in your business, so you don't care about how you do it. Is that what you're saying? Just trying to get clear on what you're saying. You're a team of one.
I think the, previously managed a whole lot of people,
Yep.
right? And I'm going to be using a lot of subcontractors. And I'm going to say, I want this done. And I don't care how they do it, this is what I want done.
Yep. We'll see how that works for you. If they're attached to the brand,
That's not.
if they're not attached to the brand, you may make the decision that you don't really care how they do it. But if your people are attached to your brand, you actually should care about how they do it. So let's say Stephen didn't care about Sally and how she did her role here. And let's say she was rude to you. So you went up the back and you asked her for something and she went, oh, I don't really know. Don't know. She didn't care if the temperature of the room is fine. She's here to... Sally, technically, what's your role whilst you're here? What are the technical elements?
Whatever Steve says.
Whatever Steve says, yeah.
Let's be creative, Steve, that he, customer service, make sure I'm doing things that he's not, and he wants.
Yeah. So if you take customer service, right, what would be the bare minimum that Sally could do to do customer service? What's the bare minimum to tick the box? Show up. Good job, Sally. What's the next best thing that she could do?
Only look after Steve and no one else.
Only look after Steve and forget that there's 70 other people in the room. What's the very next basic thing that she could do? Smile. Has she ticked those boxes? Good job, Sal. Now, if Stephen didn't care about any other way that she did it, she wouldn't need to be... All she had to do was smile. Just smile at them. Smile and wave, smile and wave. Is that the penguin? Smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. If all she had to do was just smile and wave, you could say, great job. But has anyone gone to her with a question? Yeah? Has anyone wondered if if you're lacking a pen or water or a highlighter or a pad of paper, or I don't have this, or what's this form, or what's the next step, or where can I get a coffee, or where's lunch? Any question that you've gone to her, she answered it. But was that specifically in her job description? And if she didn't do it in the way that is aligned with Steve and Megan and their values, then wouldn't you see that as a disconnect?
Yes.
How many of you would go to Steve and say, dude, that's Sally. Sorry, Sal. No one's going to say that. But wouldn't you go and give the feedback and say, hey, Steve, I just want to let you know I had an awesome experience over the last couple of days, but Sally was a bit rude to me a couple of times and just wanted to let you know. You'd say that, right? So how someone does their job is equally important to what they do when they're attached to your brand. Now, whether you choose to focus on that or not, it's up to you. You run your business however you want to run it. But if you want to humanise your business, if you want to integrate business with people, given that everything in your business requires who? People. Name one thing in your business that happens without a person at any point. I actually am really curious to know, because I don't think there's anything. So if you've got something.
Emails arrived.
Pardon?
Emails arrived.
Emails arrived. Did someone have to write them to begin with? Person. I can't actually sit here, not here, but sat down for hours going, is there? Is there? And every time I think of something, there's a person that's interacted with it at some point. So if you truly believe that people are valuable to your business, yeah, have you got something?
Yeah, a cyclone happens.
Cyclone happens and does what to your business? Because cyclone just doesn't happen. A cyclone happens fine,
Yeah.
but what's the impact to your business?
Well, that's something that's happened.
Yeah. But at the I asked what happens in your business that isn't involving people. So if a cyclone happens, what's the impact to your business?
It leads to future work.
Leads to future work?
Yeah.
Loss? So who can't get work? Do you have contractors that are reliant on that work?
It's damage to countries or to...
Yeah, but there are people not impacted by natural disasters. We're impacted by natural disasters, and if you're running a business, there's a huge impact to your business.
Sorry, Claire, I'm just focusing on words.
Yeah, I know, but I love it. I love the challenge, right? I'm not going to shy back. I'm all for a challenge. So I love your contribution because you know what it's showing me? That you're thinking. So I love it. So I'm up for the discussion because I'm always curious to know what else can I learn? What's the different perspective? Pardon me?
It's also
With the cyclone. Yeah, absolutely. It's more, so it's business opportunity. So again, it's impacting your people positively or negatively depending on what happens.
Wait, sorry, going back to that how thing, I do agree with what you're saying.
Yes,
But
that's a good start.
Specific,
We're going to get along fine.
specific tasks when there's a subcontractor in
Yep.
another country that I'll never see again.
Yep.
I need to, can you please create me this one logo,
Yes.
do it legally,
Yeah.
all I want.
Yeah.
I don't care how they do it.
The legal thing's big for you, isn't it? But I agree with you. It's like going on Fiverr, right?
If it's someone in the, obviously this is the example earlier here, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
You're laying out a clear description that this is the end result, and I'm paying for the end result, not anything else. But to do that, you've got to define it extremely clearly.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So if you're doing more of a transaction base, so these are contractors that you hire for a short period of time to do a transaction, like even small things like going on Fiverr. You spoke about Fiverr yesterday, getting something done on Fiverr. I don't really care how the person on Fiverr does its thing. I just want my thing that I'm paying for, right? If they're involved in your business, if they're a key part of your business, if they're attached to your brand, care. Okay? So why do we need data? We need data to make decisions. And it's a circular process. You need data to make decisions, you need people to make decisions, so you need your people to know how to make a decision with the data. Can we do it again? Faster? Backwards. So you need to make decisions, you need data to make decisions, you need people in your business to know how to make decisions on that data. Otherwise the data just sits there. And the decision is made in the absence of the data. Crap decision. True? So that's why you need to know how your people think. So as I said, everything that happens in business involves people. So every challenge that you've got involves people in some way. Now here's the complexity and here's another flaw that businesses go through. Who hires people because you like them? You get a good feel. Yep. Who hires people just purely on their capability? They can technically do the job. Yep. They're all a good start. If you're hiring people because of whether you like them or not, you're going to attract people that are like you. So where's the diversity in thinking? So your business will be limited by you, because you're going to hire people that are like you, so they're going to be similar to you. They're going to think in the same way to you. So all you've done is just multiply your thinking. As opposed to getting diversity of thinking in there matched to where the business is going. So you've great, who's heard of Lindsay Fox? You know, on the back of all the trucks that it says, you know, you're passing another Fox. Big transport dude. On his business card, he's got truck driver as his title. He's worth like a gazillion. I'm pretty sure there's gazillion amount of money. It's worth like a bucket load of money. But his success, he will always say that he wasn't the smartest person in the room. He just knew how to surround himself with smart people. So in order to surround yourself with smart people, you need to know where you're not so smart. True?
Yeah.
You need to know where you're really good at and where you may not be so that you can hire for where you're not and surround yourself with those people. Now, when it comes to people, you can't manage what you don't understand. True? So that's why a lot of you loved what Tony said yesterday about the birds, because you're starting to get an idea around, well, if they're a dove, this is how I need to speak with them. This is what they're going to be thinking. This is how they're going to react. If they're a peacock, this is what I need to do. If they're an owl, yeah? An eagle, was the eagle the other one? Am I just making birds up now? Okay, good. I was out of birds by that point anyway. So now that you've got that information, you love it because you can start to understand how people are thinking and acknowledging that you may actually be different to other people. So we are all wired differently, and that is a good thing, right? Now in business, we tend to see it as a bad thing. So I've done a lot of work in consulting. I used to, in a previous life, so I'm a trained psychologist, so done some stuff with people. And then went into consulting, so then did some stuff with business. And I used to work with some really large resource companies. So I was in Perth working with a large resource company, and there was this guy that nobody really liked. They didn't get along with him. And so for some strange reason, they said, Claire, we need you to go and get him on board. He was a key stakeholder. So you have to go and get him on board because he's really annoying in meetings and very disruptive. Does anyone have anyone like that? Now, they had no idea what to do with this person. He wasn't conforming to the way everybody else was in the room, so they didn't know. He was left of centre. They didn't know what to do with him, and they were frustrated because he wasn't like everybody else. Now, all I did was talk to him. I just got to understand him. I wanted to know what he thought about certain things, what he liked, what he disliked. I actually listened. I asked questions and listened. And I asked questions that were non-work related. So on a weekend, what do you do? I'm new to Perth. What do I do around here on a weekend? What do you do? Oh, I go sailing. Oh, cool. How long have you been sailing for? And off we went about sailing. Next thing I know, I'm on a boat. Kind of cool. But I'd say I have no sailing experience, no sailing knowledge. My only job was to pour champagne. Pretty sure I could do that. So that was my job on the boat, right? Now, because of that, he felt, what do you think? Connected and included, relaxed, heard. People that speak a lot are saying, I just want to be heard. So listen. When you listen, you diffuse the need for them to shout. So all I said to him was, I said, geez, you know, you've got a lot of opinions on certain things. I've noticed that in the work setting. You've always got an opinion on everything. And I said, I think that's really great that you've got an opinion. I really love it how you shared that. My concern is I wonder, and I'm interested to know what you think, I wonder whether other people understand the value of what you're saying. So do you sometimes feel when you share that opinion that people aren't getting you? So you feel you need to say it maybe a bit louder or in a different way? Yes, that's how I feel. Right, well, is there something that you could say when you're sharing your opinion that connects what you're saying back to the reason why we're all together, to help them understand? Because it's not that they don't want to understand, they just don't know how to understand what you said. Do you reckon you could do that? Yes. Next time he goes into a meeting, he says an opinion, and he said, the reason why I'm saying this is context. And everyone just looked at me and said, what did you do? And I said, I just listened. So because I listened, I could then add value to that person. I wasn't trying to change him. I was trying to understand where's his strength and how do I deploy it. So I'm going to say that again. When you're working with people, do not change them. It is not your responsibility. You are not responsible for my growth. Don't you dare have an opinion on it. And don't you tell me what to do. I'll grow in my own time. Thank you very much. If I want to grow, I'll grow. Give me opportunities, let me step through the door. All I want you to do is understand where I'm strong and let me play where I'm strong, develop me where I'm strong, help me deploy my strength. But stop shoving in my face all the ways in which I'm weak, I'm not contributing, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Tell me how I'm strong. Is this making sense to everyone? Is that something that you do with your team?
Same with children.
Same with children. Is it something that you do with your team? Do you know the strengths of every person in your team? No? Some do? Do you know the strength of yourself? Not getting enough yeses. Just saying. Whole lot of shh. Who knows, hand on heart, what their strength is? Hand on heart, hand on heart. Stephen at the back, yep.
Well, as a business owner, there's not many people telling you what your strengths are.
Yeah.
So it's a bit hard to...
It's a bit hard to gauge it, so you have to know it from within.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you do, don't you? Do you know, I actually do that all the time. Because I'm in business, no one's going to pat me on the back. They're going to tell me everything I do wrong.
That's right.
Right? No one's going to pat me on the back. Very few people will, so I have to do it for myself. So when I sit there and I create something, when I created Values Pendulum, I was patting myself on the back, doing a dance, running around the block, popping some champagne. I was proud of myself. So where do you know where your strength is? Do you even know how to identify it?
I think it helps if you understand your weakness first, to then find out what your strength is about what you are good at, because there is a difference that actually leads to who you put around you from your team's perspective.
Yeah. And it is a good way to start. If you're more versed in identifying where you're weak and beating yourself up, who has a little stick in the back of their pants the whole time, and every time you stuff up, you just start whacking yourself? Do you beat yourself up more than anyone else? Are you your own worst enemy?
Yeah.
Your harshest critic? Yeah? Do you want my coaching on that? It's pretty blunt, pretty short. Stop it. Just stop it. You're not perfect. You're never going to be. Stop focusing on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do. Stop focusing on where you stuffed up. Figure out what you learned from it and move on. The more you focus on what you can't do, the more it becomes a reason as to why you're not doing something in business.
Yeah, because you're in that negative.
You're in the negative.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It becomes a perfect excuse. It's kind of like, who's ever done DSCORE Myers-Briggs? You've heard of it at least, yeah, you've done it, right? So, great, you're an ESTP. Oh, you're an INFJ, awesome. What do you do with that? You're a D, great. You're an I, awesome. What do you do with that?
With the team that I've got in the little office there, I use that, Myers-Briggs, to actually help motivate and manage that particular person.
And is it still strong?
It seems to work with the guys that I'm working with.
You'd be one of the only few. Feedback I get in corporate now is, yeah, I know that I'm an ESTP and INFJ, and it's great, but it's actually now becoming the excuse as to why my team is not doing blah, blah, blah. If I'm a D, great, I'm going to have an opinion, I'm out there, but don't ask me to do details. Nuh-uh. If I'm a C, oh, we're going to give you all the details, but don't ask me to go out there and meet people. Uh-uh. You're an S, you're great behind the scenes, do a lot of support work, but don't ask me to go and stand out the front, can't do it. Yes, you can. And the D, you can do data, and data, you can meet people, and people, you can do data. You're just not. Right? So by putting them in a box, they stay in a box, and it becomes the excuse as to why they can't do everything else that sits outside of that box.
I think it's your attitude towards it too. I'm in HR, so I do these profiles for people.
Yeah.
When I do presentations, I'm an S, and when I talk about that, people are surprised because when I'm standing at the front doing a presentation, they go, "Oh no!" When they get a little bit of knowledge, they say, "No, you're an I." Yeah. And I go, "No, I'm so not an I," but I know the difference and I know how to step out into that. So I think it's about being aware of it.
It's being aware of it, and it's actually about the critical feedback that you received. Is someone perceiving you as the I? That's the value. Not, no, I'm an S. Someone perceiving you as the I is the value. Someone perceiving you as a D is value. Because it's telling you what they actually see in themselves. And giving you feedback that maybe you have a little bit more D than what you actually think. You might have a little bit more I than what you actually think. And you know what? In reality, you're probably all four.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you can limit your capability based on which bucket you want to sit yourself in. My view would be, you can actually sit yourself in any bucket. It's just whether you want to or not. Okay? Now, each person in your team has a certain way of thinking. Do you know what that is? Would you, if I said, let's not even take the individuals because you're all going, no, I don't even know how I think. Good. Could you tell me the flavour of thinking in your business? Do you tend to be reactive? Are you very traditional in your approach? Are you very competitive? Are you very ordered and structured? Are you innovative? Are you affiliative? Am I just throwing words out there and you're going, can you define the words? Yeah? So maybe it's situation specific for a lot of times in your business. So depending on this situation, we do this thinking. Yeah? Do you want to do a bit of an activity? And the only answer at this point is yes, by the way. If you say no, we're kind of doing it anyway. So you may as well say yes, true? Okay, so in your book, turn to page 35. And on page 35, there's a table. There's a list of business challenges, there's a list of thinking, and there's a business cost. Now, when we talk about people, and I get this a lot in corporate, oh, that's the fluffy stuff. True? Who doesn't want to deal with people and do people stuff because they feel it's too fluffy, and you'd much rather do the hard stuff, like the marketing stuff and the data stuff and the business stuff? I tell you what, you don't deal with the soft stuff, the people, the fluffy stuff, they're going to have a huge cost on your business. So for something that's fluffy, they cost you a bucket. Just think about your recruitment costs. What you invest in your team when you develop them. What you invest in leaders. Hiring a leader in your business. The cost of retaining an employee and when they leave, the cost to your business. They're easy to calculate. But let's calculate the cost of the thinking deficiencies in your business, because that's the bit that we've missed, okay? So this is what this is going to do. It's going to help you think about the challenges that you've got in your business differently. It's going to help you integrate what's going on in your business with the people in your business to give you more information around why you're having that challenge. Sound good? No? Do you want to go have coffee instead? No? All right, good. So you've got a list of business challenges, a list of thinking, and then a business cost. So what you're going to do, you're just going to spend a few minutes, and down the bottom, you're just going to pick a business challenge and write it down that you actually have, not just making it up. You're going to pick why you think that challenge exists from a thinking perspective. So what's the thinking deficiency in your team that is causing that problem? And I'll give you an example. And then based on having that problem, what's the cost to your business? Is it preventing growth? Is it having an impact on your recruitment? Is it having an impact on retention? Is it having an impact on revenue? And what percent of that cost can you attribute back to, hand on heart, I think it's due to my people? I'm not so naive to say that every problem is 100% due to your people, because you have processes, you have systems, you have other forces at play in your business, but there will be a percent of your challenges that are due to your people, okay? So to do the example on the page is we've got a lack of strategic thinking to create growth opportunities. I find it really frustrating. There's so many ways in which our business can grow, but nobody's coming up with ideas. No one's got that strategic thinking. So we've got a lack of opportunity for growth. What's the thinking constraint around that? Well, people aren't able to think more long-term because they're too focused on the short term. So they're too busy. A lot of my team are too busy putting out bushfires everywhere and dealing with the day-to-day that they haven't actually got the time to stop and think about potential opportunities. So my team tends to be very reactive and short-term focused in their thinking. Cool? Is that making sense? Give me a yes or no. Yep. So the cost to my business is one around growth. So there are growth opportunities that we've missed, and I reckon it's probably about, we could have increased our growth by about 2%, and 2% growth to our business is about 250,000 revenue, 250,000 in revenue, whatever the maths is for you, okay? So now that you've got a cost associated with the people constraint, how much more do you want to help your people? Just one person? A lot more. How much more do you want to invest in training them to have the thinking that you need to think about the growth opportunities because it's worth $250,000? Do you like just leaving $250,000 around, hanging around? In marketing, they say, I've listened to a lot of marketing gurus, and they'll say, you know, your cost of not doing things from a marketing perspective is like leaving money on the table. Right? So you not having an opt-in on your website, money on the table. You not putting, I don't know, I'm not the marketing guru. Where's my mate? He's not here. All the marketing cool stuff that Greg was saying yesterday, you not doing that is like having money on the table. Same with your people. You not helping your people, you're not understanding your people, not addressing their needs is money on the table for your business. It's costing you. So do this activity. Spend a couple of minutes now just really thinking through what are the challenges in my business and how is it due to, or how am the limitations in my team's thinking, and if the team is you, then it's you, contributing to that challenge. And what's the cost? Everyone up to do this? Give me a yes, Claire. A hell yes, Claire. Claire, you're making me think and my brain's hurting. Everyone, just heads up for a minute. So I'm getting the same question from a number of people. What's the purpose of this, yeah? Why are we doing this? Are people wondering what's the outcome? Yes or no, guys? Are you kind of getting a bit confused or not? Right? Catherine's down here going, yes, no, yes. Whoa, okay. So the purpose of this, how many of you have thought about challenges that you've got in your business? Yes. Does it keep you awake at night? Yes. Do you know how to solve it? No. Awesome. Would you like to stay in that pain? Right. This formula is helping you identify how you have that problem. Do you mind if I use your example? Lex. So Lex was sharing with me that one of the key challenges in his business is looking for new ways to go to market, right? Is that accurate? He's like, but I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, what do you want me to put in the next column? Because that's why I'm here. I'm coming to places like this to get the information to know how to go, do the thing in my market. But they're not working for me, so I'm still waiting for that one thing that's going to work. Now, all I'm listening for, I'm hearing. Can I be blunt about what I'm hearing? Blah, 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 one thing. Blah, 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 going to work. That's all I'm hearing. I'm looking for key words that are helping me understand the thinking of Lex. So if I'm looking for the one thing, and it has to work, I'm definitive in my language, my thinking is very structured, very ordered, very linear, which means I come to this event, I hear Greg say, do X. So I do X, expecting Y, and it didn't work. So I don't think that what Greg said is going to work, because I did X, but didn't get the outcome. Do you think, the variety in the room, you've got people that are starting out, people that's a business of 1, people that are a business of 50. Is it possible for one piece of advice that Greg can say to be 100% relative to your very specific business? Your market, buying patterns in your market? No. It's a concept. So if you want to know how it works for you, engage the mentor to teach you how to apply that. Because that one principle will be, for you, with your market, here's how you need to implement it. For you, with your revenue that you've got available, here's how you need to do it. Now, if you don't have that thinking, which is multiplistic, opportunistic, creative, innovative thinking, to take the concept and think about how you specifically could apply it, that's the gap in your thinking that's holding back your business around that challenge. Does that make sense? So if you don't address it in some way, shape or form, you're going to keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, which is insanity. Isn't that the definition of insanity? So by understanding the way in which the thinking that you're using to solve that challenge, if you're not solving it, it's because of the way that you're thinking. So if you want a different outcome, change your thinking. Educate yourself so that you think differently. Get around people that think differently and can help you. Get advice to change your thinking. So that's the simple formula. Change your thinking to change your outcome. So for every challenge that you've got, if you identify the thinking that you're using to try to solve the challenge and you're not solving it, then you need to do different thinking. Does that now make sense? So when you're writing down the challenge, and so do this in your own time, when you're writing down the challenge, you need to be asking yourself the question, why do we have this challenge? What is it about my thinking that is causing this challenge to be there? So for Lex, it was the structured way of thinking, the very ordered way of thinking, the linear way of thinking, which is perfect in some areas of the business. But in marketing, no. Marketing is creative. If we interviewed Tony and said, when you were doing your sales and amazing guru working with people and teaching people how to do sales, you've got a very structured formula, yes? How they do it is different. Their unique flavour is embedded into it. The process is relevant, but the execution might need to be tailored to the different markets that you're in, the different client that you're with, hence the birds. Yeah? You can't take the same approach to a dove than you can a peacock. It's the same thing. You can't solve a challenge in your business using the wrong thinking. Do we like it or not? Have we taken you to a place where you haven't yet been before? Does anyone ever stop to think about how they think? Some do. Yep. So for those of you that do, did you find that activity a little bit easier to do? A little bit easier? For some of you that you've never really thought about how you think, was that activity a bit challenging? Yeah. So that's all the feedback that's telling you at the moment. It's we haven't taken the time to really look at how are we approaching our business, what's the thinking that we're bringing to it, and how is that thinking causing us problem? So that's why understanding your personality, looking at the birds and understanding where you are is so useful, because then you can tailor your approach based on you and tailor your approach based on the person that you're dealing with. Same thing with thinking. The difference is with thinking, you can grow, develop, expand it, change it. True? So what have we learnt this morning? Let's just take a step back and see what we've learnt. What have we all learnt? It's the one key thing that you've taken away. Yeah. People are. How many times do you hear businesses say people are our most important asset? People are your business. Exactly. Yeah, we pay so much lip service to that. So that's a great takeaway to have. People are my most important resource. They are the most important thing in my business. So now let's treat them with that respect. What else have you taken away? Be very clear on your outcome. Why you're doing something, attach the meaning to it, and know who you need to be, what you're prepared to do, and what you're not prepared to do. Very clear coaching.
How are you going to get to the outcome? Or you set the outcome as a goal, you've really got to have a look at it.
The pathway.
Every pathway.
Yeah.
To do it. If you're going to deviate off that pathway, you've got to change that outcome. It's not going to work.
Yeah, so always having that outcome in mind. So starting with the outcome in mind and knowing what your pathway is to get there. If you need to go off track of that, that's fine, just know why and if it's going to impact that outcome and readjust. And as when we come back after morning tea, we're going to I'll show you the pathway that all businesses go through, the pathway that all humans go through in their development, and you'll start to see how they're matched. Cool? What else have you taken away from this side of the room? No pressure. If you're wondering what to do next, do the very thing that fears you the most. Who liked that one? Yes. Oh, you like that one? Yeah. I get asked that question a lot. What should I do next? Well, what scares you the most? What have you been putting off? I've been putting this off, and this off. Great, do that. It's going to change your business.
Instead of expecting people to be on us, like heading the same direction as us, help them
Yeah.
change their mindset and help them.
Yeah, that's it. Instead of just instead of expecting people just to be on the bus, understand why they're on the bus and how to help them be on that bus in a productive way, which requires you to know what. Why they're there. To understand people. You need to know where you're going. Nobody wants to hop on a bus that's just going around in circles. True? You want to get off pretty quickly. So you need to know where you're going. So having that clear outcome, knowing where you're going, and then who you need to help you get to that outcome is critical. So that you're selective of who you're letting on the bus, not just allowing people to sit on the bus enjoying a ride. Bring them in on the journey. Yeah.
It's okay as a business owner to know, right, well, this is our outcome and that's where we're going. And just make sure that the people that are there with you know where you're going with it. That's not the direction for them, they're freezing off.
Yes.
You know, that everybody needs to know the direction.
Yep.
Be on the bus, going in the same way, doing it together.
Yes.
And everyone's working, and then that also gives them the ability to move a task to go, well, that's not really going to get us where we're going,
So let's do something else. Exactly. Do you know what's really awesome for you guys today as well? You've got Randall in the room. So when Randall's getting interviewed today, and I don't quite know what the questions are going to be, but Randall does something in his business that I've never really seen a lot of other people do. He instinctively, and I had a discussion with him this morning about this, just curious to know, how he learned how to be, how he is in business. But he instinctively does a lot of things with his team to actually treat them like human beings. Now, I know that sounds foreign, and it's like, well, of course, doesn't everyone do that? But no, we really don't. Most people see the people in your team as a dollar figure. They're a cost to your business. They're resources that need to be deployed to do stuff for you to get an outcome. Where I've seen Randall really do things differently, every time I've heard him speak, I always hear this genuine respect and feeling for people in his team. So he will have the honest conversations, he will have the tough conversations. He's very clear on where people are a fit to the business and where they may not be a fit to the business, where they're limited, where they're going to be limited based on where their business is going and what they can offer, and where that individual is going and what that individual is capable of doing. And has those honest conversations. And as a result, he's got people that hang around in the business, that want to be a part of it, that do exceptional jobs. Doesn't mean he doesn't have any people challenges. I'm sure you still do, Randall. But his approach to it is coming from a place of understanding, truly understanding, what you were saying around humans being part of your business, understanding that they are actually quite important, and creating a space for them on that bus where they're comfortable in their seat, they know how to move around the bus, they know how to get on and off the bus, and they know why they're on the bus to begin with and where it's going. So this is coming back to the key point around integrating your business with people. There's no point having a bus, which is your vehicle of where the business is going, if you don't know who you need to allow onto the bus and what you're doing with those people when they're on the bus. Now, are you going to get this right all of the time? No? Has anyone ever been, before you went into business, were you ever a leader before in any other way? Here's a critical question. Do you consider yourself a leader? Yes? Do you know what your leadership goals are? Do you know what style of leader you want to be? Have you thought about that? Do you even know if your leadership style is a match to your business? So let me tell you, conversations that I have, there was this one person I was working with, she's like, oh, Claire, I'm so excited, I want to have a business that turns over $10 million. Awesome. How long do you want to do that? I want to do that in 2 years. Fantastic. What else? Tell me a little bit more. What's the quality of life that you want? Well, I want $10 million, I want to do it in 2 years, and I really want to work 3 days a week. Now, I'm not one to squash someone's ambition, right? It's possible. Who's to say it's not possible? It could be possible. I just get curious because I want to know where she got that from. So I'm like, well, who's done that? Who's achieved what you want to achieve? Well, there's this person in business, you know, she's turning over $10 million. Yeah, I get that she's turning over $10 million. Did she do it in 2 years? No. So how are you going to get it to 10 million in 2 years? Working 3 days a week. Oh, I don't know. I said, awesome. Well, before we buy into this whole 10 million, 2 years, 3 days a week, let's find someone that's actually done it. Because if you don't know how, where do you start? It's about finding the people that have done that. Now, this person also, so that's fine as a business goal, wouldn't you say? Quite ambitious. If someone said that to you, it's quite an ambitious goal. What kind of person do you think needs to lead that business to get that outcome? Describe the person. Driven, focused, determined, is that what you said? Determined. Workaholic, which may be out of kilter with the 3 days a week. But yeah, workaholic. Systematic. Motivated and a go-getter. Extremely focused and goal-driven, a dreamer. A negotiator, did you say? A delegator. So yeah. All of those characteristics this person was not. Their way of being, their way of thinking was a complete mismatch to what's required for that business outcome. Pardon? Dreamer can be great though, because the dreamer creates the impossible dream, the vision. It doesn't need to be believable to everyone, it just needs to be believable to you. So if you're a great dreamer and you can construct a great dream, go for it. I'm not about squashing the dream. Go for that dream. That creates your motivation. But if it's not matched with the determination, the persistence, the delegation, the everything else, it's just going to sit there as a dream. And for this person, their thinking was very traditional, very complacent. Meaning, I just want to do what I've always done. I just want to do the safe things. I'm not prepared to really put myself out there and do anything different. So I just want to do the same that I've always done, keep it nice and safe, but do 10 million in 2 years, working 3 days a week. Exactly, right? So all I'm listening for all the time is, what's your business outcome? And do you have the thinking to match it? If you don't, let's do something about that. If you do, great, rock on. Do you have a team that is aligned from a capability, a thinking perspective towards that outcome? If you do, great. If you don't, let's fix it. Because it's a cost to your business. Simple message. And it's more than just tracking whether they're turning up to work, whether they're ticking the boxes of their job. It's looking at how they're doing it. Because when stress happens on a business, when pressure hits your business, that's when you see the true colours of someone in your team. Has anyone had that moment where there's been huge stress in the business or something happened, like a bombshell hit in the business, and the teams had to respond? Do you see a different side of your team then? Yeah? So you want to know, how are they going to respond in those situations? What are their patterns of thinking? How are they going to solve problems? How are they're going to address challenges and problems in the business? How are they going to be on any normal given day? How are they going to execute their role? If someone's coming in with very absolute thinking, very linear thinking, then you have to be very prescriptive in what you're telling them to do. They're not going to think outside of the box. They're just not. They want to know, if I stick this in this column and this there and I fill out this form, is that all I need to do? Literally, is that all I need to do? Yes, it is. Follow this process. Use this system. So after the breaks, I know you're all keen to take a break. I can see it on your eyes. We're going to go through the journey that a business goes through, so how a business grows, and also the different ways that people think, and look at how they combine. And you're going to start to apply all of that to your business to find out, well, where is your business on the stage of growth? At what stage of growth is your business at? So where is it now? To therefore know what is the next phase of growth for your business, and also start to have a think about, have a bit of a stab in the dark, doesn't need to be right, you just need to have a go, at where you think your thinking is. What do you think is the predominant way that people in your business are addressing the business? What's their predominant way of thinking? And then we're going to put them together and see, is that actually a match? Is that going to be working for you, or is it working against you, and is that why you've got some challenges? Sound cool? No? Yes! Sounds awesome, Claire. There we go. That's what I was
All righty. All right, guys. Round of applause for Claire.